Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I have a special vlog for you today as I'm taking you with me to Las Vegas for March spring break. I'll be catching the Up Express to Lester Pearson International Airport. It's an express train and the ticket only costs around $9.25, so I really recommend this mode of travel for getting to the airport. Many of you will recognize Union Station as it's been featured in countless movies. Woohoo, we're on our way. I'm so thrilled and excited. This has been my third attempt at trying to schedule this trip, which is a very delayed graduation gift. Because I'm visiting close family members who are elderly and in poor health, this won't be your typical touristy vlog. I basically had to fit the rhythm of my days to their schedule. So first I'd like to take you to Smith's, which is a Las Vegas grocery store. When I first entered this store, I actually had to take a few minutes and just walk around and let it all soak in. I know this sounds like a strange reaction, but I'm so used to seeing out of stock items or shelves that have empty spaces on them and out of stock stickers. For example, at my local grocery store, oftentimes if something goes out of stock, I have to wait a really long time for the inventory to come back. And the first thing I noticed was this feeling of prosperity and abundance in the store because everything was so beautifully organized and laid out. As you can see, there is an absolute plethora of inventory in terms of different brands, different flavors, just an incredible amount of choice. And it was just such a wonderful thing to see. I noticed that liquor was available in Smith's, and this is a very unusual thing for me to see because in the province that I'm from, which is Ontario, liquor is basically only available in government-run stores, namely the LCBO. Another thing that I noticed was that the merchandising and presentation was next level. As you can see here, the fruits and vegetables are neatly arranged in rows or stacks, which is very different from what I see in my local grocery store, where everything is just piled up in giant heaps. Another thing that I noticed was the professionalism of the sales staff. For example, when we got to the cashier asked us if we wanted another case of soda, as it was buy two, get one free, which was a special that we were unaware of, and he even sent someone to go and get the extra case for us. So another thing that I would definitely never see back home is a little casino in the grocery store. Yes, you are looking at a casino in the grocery store. Back home, casinos and even the selling of lottery tickets is controlled by the provincial government. Another thing that I would never see in my local grocery store back home is this display of religious candles for sale. Please let me know in the comments below if you see anything that you would never find in your local grocery store wherever you are located. If you're a pet owner, then the pet food section will be of interest to you. I noticed that Smith's carry a lot of upmarket brands, which was a really fun thing to see, as back home, if I wanted to get organic or free range or upmarket pet food, then I'd have to go to a specialty pet food store. And another thing I noticed about Smith's was their huge selection of cosmetics and skincare. And as you can see, the shelves are very well stocked indeed. Keep watching as the timing of my visit to Las Vegas coincided with the full blood moon total lunar eclipse, and I'm so excited to share that experience with you. While I noticed a lot of familiar brands, I also noticed that they offered variations that I was not familiar with back home. I also noticed iconic brands such as Swedish Fish and Dots candies that are wonderful memories from childhood that I never see anymore back home. Next, I want to take you on a flying visit through Las Vegas's Nordstrom, which is located in their one and only mall, which is called Fashion Mall. And I was so sad when Nordstrom closed down and left Canada. So it was so refreshing to be able to visit Nordstrom again. And as you can see, the scale of the store is really quite mind-boggling, and they just have so much merchandise and inventory beautifully laid out. Even though I visited Las Vegas before and even featured it in a Christmas vlog a couple of years ago, this time I really noticed how beautiful the city really is. There's no litter or trash anywhere. Most homes and properties are beautifully kept up. Here you see a typical backyard where there's just a very small lawn, and most of the landscaping is done in well kept up little trees or bushes, cacti, and lots of pebbles. And the reason for this is that water usage is very strictly controlled. So if you use too much water to water your lawn, you will get a warning letter from your local HOA. And we don't really have HOAs in Canada. And HOA stands for the Homeowners Association, which is quite strict. The great thing about staying with family and staying in a family home is, of course, partaking in family dinners. And I noticed that my family had a Chefman air fryer, and not only that, they had a second air fryer, which is this big square thing that you see here. And it not only air fries, but toasts, bakes, and dehydrates as well. So for dinner that night, we had duck leg and mullet roe. And mullet roe is the fish version of beef jerky, and it's those amber slices that you see on that plate down below. So the duck leg, I was told, was prepared in the basket fryer, but it didn't get the skin crispy enough, so it had to go into the bigger air fryer just to get the skin nice and crispy. So I was told that if you're going to get an air fryer, it's better to get the big square one. Next, I want to share with you my experience of witnessing the full blood moon total lunar eclipse in Las Vegas. It was a truly magical experience. I couldn't believe how wonderful it was to look up into the sky and get a clear and unimpeded view of the moon. Back home, my view of the night sky is impeded by many condo buildings and other skyscrapers. So it was really wonderful to look up and to see the moon and the stars. Yes, most of those stars might have been satellites, but they looked like stars to me. My camera was compensating for the moonlight, but I promise you that as the lunar eclipse was progressing, you could definitely see that the moon was being covered, and slowly all you could see was just a sliver of the moon, like a crescent shape. I feel so lucky and blessed to have been able to experience this with my family. It definitely wasn't planned, as I had no idea that this was going to happen, and it was just fortuitous that I happened to read about it in the news that day. Let me know in the comments if you were able to witness it as well. For a change of pace, now I'm going to take you to the Las Vegas South Premium Factory Outlet Mall. I've taken you to this factory outlet mall before in my Christmas vlog from a couple of years ago. If you're interested, please check that out. One of the reasons why I'm returning to this factory outlet mall is because they have an SAS shoe store here, and I've been told that SAS is a really good brand, If, for example, you have orthopedic problems or you are required to be on your feet a lot for work. And several years ago, I made the mistake of wearing high heels to the job that I was doing at that time. And unfortunately, wearing high heels for long periods of time completely broke my feet. So I was on the lookout for comfortable shoes, and safe to say that SAS will never appear on a Paris runway, but I can definitely attest that they are super duper comfortable, and all the shoes are made in the USA. Next, let's visit the Kate Spade factory outlet store. If you've been watching my vlogs, then you'll know that I recently purchased a Kate Spade crossbody bag that I'm super happy with. But of course, it's always nice to take a look at their offerings in person. Another factor that may encourage you to do a bit of shopping while you're in Nevada, especially if you're coming from Ontario, is because of the fact that the sales tax in Ontario is 13%, as opposed to the sales tax in Nevada, which is 8%. So if you couple the savings that you get with the lesser sales tax, as well as the savings that you may get if you shop at a factory outlet store, then these are all reasons to encourage you to do a little bit of shopping if you happen to visit a factory outlet mall in the States, especially in the state of Nevada. I love my black Kate Spade crossbody bag so much that I was on the lookout for the same crossbody bag but in a color called cinnamon. It sold out online and I was really hoping to find it in the store, but I couldn't find it. I was so happy to see that there was an Ann Taylor in that mall. I was so sad when Ann Taylor closed down and left Ontario. It just did not survive the successive lockdowns during the pandemic. There's no doubt that the retail environment in Ontario specifically is quite harsh. It's a great store if you're looking for business clothes. Next, I want to take you to a restaurant called Shanghai Taste. And the reason why I want to take you to this restaurant is because they are renowned for their Shanghai dumplings. And maybe you've had these type of dumplings before where they come to the table piping hot. And when you bite into them, there's all this broth that comes squirting out. And at the back of the restaurant, there's a space with glass windows where you can watch them actually prepare all the different dumplings, as you can see here. We do have similar dumpling restaurants in the GTA, namely Dumpling Queen, but they are further out from the downtown area, namely in places like Richmond Hill and Markham, which is north of the GTA, so it's just too much of a faff for me to get to. Because I hadn't had these dumplings in quite a while, I had forgotten that they come to the table piping hot, and I do mean that because the very first dumpling that I bit into, I ended up burning my lip. So a word of caution if you've never had these dumplings before, just remember that the broth is very hot. I also wanted to take you to this CVS pharmacy, mainly because drive-through pharmacies are just not a thing back home in Ontario. Another thing that I noticed right away was that this CVS sells liquor, and as I mentioned earlier in this vlog, it is just so unusual for me to see liquor being sold in anything other than a government-run store. It's only recently that beer has been allowed to be sold in grocery stores and convenience stores back home. Another difference that I found really interesting was seeing these body washes and soaps in a locked cabinet. And the only time I see anything in a locked cabinet or safely stowed behind the cache is if it is a very pricey item like a painkiller or an allergy medication or some type of product that has supply chain issues, such as baby formula, or a pricey item like an electronic. And that's the only time I ever see things like that in a locked display cabinet back home. So let me know if your pharmacy has a lot of mundane day-to-day things stored in locked cabinets. The next restaurant that I want to take you to is a all-you-can-eat seafood buffet restaurant. I was absolutely astounded by the selection and variety of the seafood that was available at this particular restaurant. There was all you can eat lobster, king prawns that were prepared in a variety of different ways, such as sauteed or fried, and so much selection, such as oysters and even frog legs. But don't worry, I didn't film the frog legs. And the cost per person was $50 US, which may seem like a little bit pricey, but if you consider that a really well done lobster dinner will set you back around $50 anyway, it's actually a really good deal, especially because it's all you can eat. So you can go back over and over again and get what you like, such as the lobster, which was absolutely delicious, and everything was so fresh that it was absolutely mouth-watering. And they also had a pretty good selection of desserts as well. I think you can tell by now that I've been taking you to restaurants that are very popular with the locals, as opposed to the usual tourist traps that you may have heard about that are located on the strip. Let me know in the comments below if there's a restaurant that you love to go to, but which is not necessarily well known to tourists. So the next restaurant that I'm going to take you to is called Tungki, and it's wildly popular with the locals. As you can see here, there is some Peking duck hanging up, and the dish that this restaurant is known for is their roast pork, and their roast pork is incredibly delicious. As you can see, it has that delicious and mouth-watering layer of crackling. So if you are a fan of crackling or pork rinds, then this restaurant is the place to go. And they are also well known for their congee, which is an Asian stewed rice. I've taken you to Asian grocery stores in Toronto before in previous vlogs, so this time I thought I'd take you to an Asian grocery store located in Las Vegas so we could check out the differences if there are any. So the first thing I noticed was, again, just like in Smith's, that there was a plethora of inventory and stock on the shelves. There was just so much variety in this store. Another difference that I noticed was the sheer scale and the physical footprint of this store, which is just so unusual compared to Toronto. At the back of the store, there were several huge tanks containing lobster, crab, and a variety of fish. I know that this may be a very surprising thing to say, especially as I just took you to an all-you-can-eat seafood buffet restaurant, but I think that I would be too squeamish to buy one of those sea critters, take it home, and then try and process it and eat it. In fact, I think I would be one of those soft-hearted, squeamish people who would buy one of those sea critters and then end up keeping it as a pet and buying it the most luxurious aquarium that I could find in order for it to live in it in luxury. So please let me know in the comments below if you've ever bought live seafood and how you dealt with that. Of course, I couldn't take you with me to Las Vegas and not show you the Strip, so here it is in all its glory. I had mentioned in the beginning of this vlog that this was a long-awaited trip, and the reason for the fact that I had to reschedule this trip is because there were some scheduling conflicts as well as some issues with family members that came up unexpectedly. And the reasons that I had to reschedule my trip more than once had nothing to do with what is going on in the world currently, I assure you. I remember when my plane landed in Las Vegas and people actually clapped and cheered. I think we were all so grateful that our plane had landed safely. It was the first time that I had seen those family members since they had come to Toronto to witness my graduation. So there was just such a feeling of gratitude, especially on my end, that we were able to celebrate my achievement since that day. So now it's time to leave Las Vegas and fly back home. And of course, I couldn't leave this vlog without showing you the casino that's located in Harry Reid International Airport. Yes, even the casino makes an appearance at the airport so that you can try your luck before you fly back home. So here is an overview shot of the Strip at nighttime as we fly over it on our way back home to Toronto. My heart is just so full as I head back to Toronto. I just can't even express it. Now that we're back in Toronto, I wanted to show you some of the things that I brought back with me, which includes 2 pairs of shoes from SAS, which were birthday gifts from my family. We don't have Trader Joe's here, so of course I had to bring back a bag of my favorite corn snacks. I can't get my favorite peanut and coconut butter here, so of course I had to bring back a jar or 2. We don't have Pepperidge Farms here, so of course I had to bring back a bag of their cookies as well as a couple of bars of Ghirardelli chocolate, which is based out in California. I also brought back a Starbucks Las Vegas mug as well as a Las Vegas baseball cap. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already, comment, and turn on that notification bell.